Hey everyone, I'm going to try and talk really quick about my first week of treatment at Paracelsus. I'm going to try and be as brief as I can just because there is a lot of information and most of it's available on my website, which I'll put a link to in the description below. My first two tries at this video were over 20 minutes, so I'm going to really try and shorten it up a bit. So please, if you want more, just head to my website. There's tons of detail there. So everyone always asks, did it help? Was it worth it? And it's honestly just still too soon to tell. When I got back, I started doing really awful for almost 2 months, and then things started to turn around. I started doing a bit better. Then I had a couple really awful days again. So it is a non-linear path, and I do feel it is in the right direction. But yeah, it probably helped. It's better than what my other alternative was, which was to continue with antibiotics. So I'm still glad I made this choice. The best thing that came out of Paracelsus was all the different tests they've done. I've learned more about what's going on in my body that is wrong, so to speak, that because of that the bacteria was able to thrive and my body wasn't able to fight it off. So now that I know those things, we can start addressing them layer by layer as my body becomes more and more stable to be able to do that. So since coming home, I've also been on weekly IVs. I follow a herbal/homeopathic schedule of meds, and that sort of thing. So there's still a lot going on after leaving the clinic too. So going into my first week, hold on, I have my notes here because I just possibly couldn't remember it if I tried. So one thing to tell you about Paracelsus is the days are really, really long. You'll start at 7 or 8, maybe 8:30. Your day ends somewhere between 4:30 and 5:30. You sit down with your doctors. You have typically a team of 3, 2 MDs and 1 naturopathic doctor. You'll usually see one of them at least every day. So my first day back at the clinic after my assessment, I sat with the doctor. A lot of the blood work and stuff had not come back yet, but we did do a live blood analysis, and it didn't really tell us much we didn't know. My hemoglobin and iron stores were low. We already knew that. They are actually improving, so that's fine, so to speak. My white blood cells showed up. They were behaving like they should have been, but my red blood cells were clumping together, and that meant that my body's not getting the oxygen it needs. So that was kind of one interesting part of it. The thermography results came back, and all of these results that I'm talking about, if you go to my website, I've actually posted a photo of a lot of them and explained them a lot more. So the thermography is the temperature readings. That came back, and it showed that my body, which we already knew because I have nervous system involvement, isn't regulating its temperature and whatnot. So my autonomic nervous system is at a balance, and I am functioning 90% in the parasympathetic nervous system versus the sympathetic. That also was illustrated. That was done in the, sorry, I'm having a hard time, heart rhythmography study, which I went on to do a 24-hour one during my second week at the clinic as well. So I was already really exhausted by the second day. I started with an ozone infusion every day at Paracelsus. Sorry. There is an infusion, so I alternated between ozone and Oxy-Vein. Oxy-Vein is oxygen gas, and ozone is when they take 100 milliliters of blood out, inject it with ozone, and then it comes back into you, so you're getting your own blood back. And then on top of those, every day alternated between either a Lyme infusion or a detox vitamin C kind of infusion. They have vitamins, minerals, and homeopathic meds in them. So the second day, yeah, it was really hard. I was actually really emotional. I was terrified of going backwards. I didn't quite understand exactly what everything was being done for what reasons for at Paracelsus. Part of that is a language barrier. If I'd ask what this specific therapy I was about to do was for, I got a really simple answer in English, and I was looking for a more in-depth response. So that was a little bit difficult for me, and it overwhelmed me. I needed to understand more. I'm just one of those people. I had Kinesiology Appointment. That is not kinesiology in the sense that we know it here. A lot of people call it happy clappy or hippie voodoo kind of stuff. I really liked it, but I ended up canceling the remaining sessions for the next 4 weeks just in order to save money. I felt like it's something I could have accessed at home, so I didn't want to spend money on it there. I did my first Therm session, which is a 1-hour whole body hyperthermia. You lay in kind of a mesh hammock with a heat source underneath, so it heats you up from the bottom up. You're covered in a sheet and a foil sheet. There's a nurse in the room the whole time. Your temperature is monitored the entire time through a rectal thermometer. Your heart rate's also monitored, so it is safe, mostly comfortable, but you do get hot really fast. The goal is to get up to 38.5, and then you spend about 30 minutes afterwards sitting all bundled up to hold the heat in. And then they do have showers there, so you can go have a really fast shower and rush off to your next appointment, which is kind of what you're doing because the days are so full. It can be a lot of rushing. And then I had an appointment with the man who is kind of the lead in the heart rhythmography studies, and every time you sit with him, your heart rate's being monitored, and he noticed that my heartbeat has a pause. So it's most likely the murmur that I've developed in the last couple of years with having Lyme. There's also a kind of strange, I don't know, I guess rhythm. Normally when we inhale and exhale, our heart rate goes up and down, usually about 20 beats per minute. Mine goes up and down by about 50. And now I'm realizing after the fact that I'm explaining this to you guys that I didn't really get an answer as to why. It was one of those things that kind of just fell through the cracks because there is so much going on. A couple other things that you do on a really regular rotation. Paracelsus was a pulsating magnetic field therapy and a PAP-IMI session. You can go to my website. Again, I have descriptions of what they are and what the result from using them is supposed to be. On my third day, my husband went home. It was a little difficult for me. Felt like a kid being left at summer camp, trying to make the best of it and whatnot. But yeah, so I started that day really early, exhausted, tired again too. I ended up crying in front of people, which is so not like me. I don't cry, especially in front of people. So it was, I think that's just a testament to how exhausted I was and how long the days were and overwhelmed I was feeling. But anyways, that day I had ozone, magnetic field again, then I saw the doctor. We talked about a new diagnosis, which was Hashimoto's, and she wanted to do neural therapy for this, as well as all over my face when we did the thermography. It comes back in a picture and kind of color-coded, and my face kind of lit up in what she called hot spots. And so neural therapy is procaine injections mixed with homeopathic. So she kind of hit my face across my eyebrows, in the middle, forehead, down the side, kind of on my cheek. Any scars I have, so she covered all of those, and then into my sinus cavities, which has to go in through your mouth. It sounds horrible, but it actually wasn't that bad. I was stressing out, but it wasn't that bad. She did my neck, my shoulders, and then I happened to notice that my lip, my cheek was starting to tingle, kind of like it does maybe when you've had freezing at the dentist. So I mentioned it to her, and she said she just got close to a nerve bundle in my face when she did the sinus cavity. So it did go away, but weird things like that tend to happen with the neural therapy. I had a couple weird issues afterwards. I had an eye therm session. This is a local hyperthermia specific to where they place these. They're almost like hot plates, but they're comfortable to lay on. It's kind of just like laying on a heating pad, except that heat is supposed to penetrate into the skin about 15 centimeters, and the internal temperature should reach about 44. So they use it for killing heat-sensitive cells like cancer or Borrelia, the Lyme bacteria. It can also help decrease inflammation and other sorts of things. And then on my last day that week, I started my day with a colonic. I actually had nightmares the night before about what was going to happen because I've never had one. I did not know what to expect. It's kind of just like a sophisticated enema. But you don't get to do it by yourself. There is someone who operates the machine the whole time, so it is a little strange. I was paired with a female therapist every time, which is something they, I think, try and do, is keep, I don't know, it just makes you feel a little less awkward about it. Because, well, you can Google a colonic and you'll read about what it is. But it was non-invasive, it was fairly comfortable. Yeah, go to my website if you want to read more about it. I'll leave it there. I took a picture of the machine and posted it as well. And then I saw the naturopathic doctor that last day of the week. I felt a lot better about things. He is English speaking as his first language, so I got much better explanations from him. We communicated a lot easier. I was getting a more in-depth answer, which kind of made me feel a lot more comfortable with what I was doing there. And he is also, I really liked him. He speaks incredibly fast. If you're having a hard time following this, you can pretty much double it, and that is how quick he is talking. But he's really smart and he was really great, so I had a good appointment with him. He also went over some of the new test results that had come in that week. One was my heavy metal analysis. So I had a lot of toxicity with them. I have very high levels of cobalt and nickel, high levels of mercury, and moderate levels of arsenic, copper, and strontium. Overall toxicity was rated at the high end of moderate. So we tried to start oral chelation when I got home, and it just turns out my body is not stable enough yet. So that's something in time we can add, but my body kind of went into a freak out when I got home with all of the chelation and everything else that we were doing to it. So it's very small steps forward, which I'm learning I need to be even more patient. We talked a bit more about Hashimoto's too, and he felt that it's more likely that I've developed Hashimoto's as a result of the toxicity of arsenic and mercury versus just an organic cause for it. So hopefully once I can start bringing those heavy metals out, that can, my body will stop attacking my thyroid as much. But when I talked to them about chelation, they basically just said at this point, if we were to do anything strong, because I was hoping we would just start doing it while I was at the clinic, and they just said we would put you in the hospital if you're just not ready. So sometimes it's in our nature to want to do all of it as soon as possible because we want to get better as soon as possible, and it's just not reality. So that was kind of it. I had another pulsating magnetic field, PAP-IMI again. I met with the nutritionist who went over all of the details for my liver detox week. So that was something that came up in the second week. And then I saw the psychotherapist, who I also really, really liked. She did a combination of acupressure and Reiki. And again, it sucks, but I ended up canceling the rest of those appointments just to be cautious with where I was spending my money. It was obviously an expensive 4 weeks, and I felt that if there was something I could be doing at home, I didn't need to be paying for it there. So that's why I canceled it. And finished my day with Oxy-Vein and another infusion. So that's kind of the structure that my first week went by. And like I said, head to my website. You can read about the assessment. You can read about my first week. And at this point, the second and half of the third week are also up. But I'm working slowly, but as fast as I can to get them all to you guys. So that's about it. I'm going to end it there. And again, I'll put links in the description below so you can head to the website and check out the test results and everything else. Okay, thanks guys.